Farmer rescues girl trapped in abandoned farm, never imagining she was his long-lost daughter. Michael Thompson gripped the steering wheel of his truck as the rain pounded against the windshield. Another day checking the fences on the neighboring land he'd recently bought, a routine he'd kept for 3 years since losing everything he loved most. Then he heard it. A faint cry, almost drowned out by the storm. Michael slammed on the brakes. The sound was coming from the old Johnson farm, abandoned for over 5 years. He stepped out of the truck and followed the noise, his heart racing with each step. There, behind the rusted bars of an old storage shed, he saw a thin blonde girl, her blue eyes filled with tears. "Mister, please get me out of here," she begged in a hoarse voice. Michael rushed to the bars, trying to understand how the child had ended up there. The girl was shivering from the cold, her clothes torn and covered in dirt. Her tangled blonde hair suggested she was about 10 years old. "Easy now, sweetheart. I'll get you out," he said, searching for something to break the rusted padlock. "How long have you been here?" he asked as he struck the lock with a rock. "I don't know, maybe 2 days. I went in to hide from the rain and the door locked behind me," she answered between sobs. The padlock finally gave way. Michael opened the door and the girl threw herself into his arms, trembling. He took off his coat and wrapped her in it, carrying her to the truck. As he drove toward town, he glanced in the rearview mirror at the girl huddled in the back seat. "What's your name?" he asked gently. "Emily," she whispered. Michael's heart skipped a beat. Emily, the same name as his daughter, who had disappeared 7 years ago. But it couldn't be. His Emily would be 11 now, and she'd vanished. In New York City, hundreds of miles away. It was just a cruel coincidence. "What about your parents, Emily? Where are they?" The girl was silent for a few seconds. "I live with my Aunt Ruth. She must be worried." Michael decided to take the girl to his house first. She needed a warm bath and dry clothes before they searched for this Aunt Ruth. Living alone on the farm for 3 years, he had no children's clothes, but he improvised with an old t-shirt that would work as a dress. While Emily bathed, Michael made hot chocolate and toast. The kitchen, which had known only the silence of solitary meals for years, suddenly felt alive again. When the girl appeared in the doorway, her hair still damp, he had to steady himself against the table. For a moment it was as if time had reversed. "Thank you, mister," she said shyly, sitting at the table. "You can call me Michael," he replied, pouring the chocolate. "Now tell me, where does your Aunt Ruth live?" Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. Emily sipped the chocolate slowly, savoring every drop. "It's in the Riverside neighborhood near the Kia Old Church. The house has a blue gate." Michael knew the neighborhood. It was on the other side of town. But something about the way the girl spoke, her gestures, the way she held the cup with both hands, it was impossible not to think of his daughter. "Have you always lived with your aunt?" he asked, trying to sound casual. Emily shook her head. "No. Before that I lived somewhere else, but I don't like talking about it." The answer only deepened Michael's curiosity. He decided not to push. Once the rain let up, he'd take her home. But the storm only grew worse, turning the dirt roads into rivers of mud. "I think we'd better wait until the rain stops," he said, looking out the window. "You can rest in the guest room for a while." Emily agreed, her eyes heavy with exhaustion. Michael took her to the bedroom, the one that had once been decorated for his daughter, but which she never got to use. He had removed almost everything after her disappearance, but some details remained. The star-patterned wallpaper, the faded pink curtains. The girl lay down, and before Michael left, she held his hand. "You're very kind. You remind me of someone." Michael felt a lump in his throat. He left the room silently, his heart conflicted. He needed to call Sheriff Williams to report the girl they had found, but first he decided to call Jennifer, his ex-wife. "Jennifer, it's me, Michael." "Michael?" Her voice sounded surprised. They hadn't spoken in almost a year. "What's wrong?" "I found a girl trapped in the abandoned Johnson farm. Her name is Emily." Silence on the other end of the line. When Jennifer spoke again, her voice trembled. "Emily, how old is she?" "About 10, 11, blonde, Blue eyes? Michael stopped, realizing how absurd his implication sounded. Michael, don't do this, not again, Jennifer pleaded. Our daughter is gone, you need to accept that. I know, it's just, Jennifer, she's so similar. Her mannerisms, the way she talks, and we've been through this before, remember? That girl in Pennsylvania, then the other one in Missouri. Every time you were sure, and every time... Her voice broke. Michael closed his eyes. Jennifer was right. After Emily's disappearance, he had clung to any shred of hope. Any blonde girl around the right age became a possibility. He had spent all their savings searching, chasing false leads, until their marriage couldn't take it anymore. You're right. I'm sorry. I'll take the girl to her aunt as soon as the rain stops. Michael, take care of yourself, okay? He hung up and stared out the window. The storm had turned into a downpour, with lightning illuminating the dark sky. He decided to check the weather forecast on his phone, but there was no signal. The towers must have been down because of the storm. That's when he heard the scream. Michael rushed to the bedroom and found Emily sitting on the bed, her eyes wide with terror, her body trembling. Hey, it was just a nightmare, he said, sitting beside her. The girl clung to him, sobbing. I dreamed I was trapped again, that no one was coming to get me. You're safe now, Michael reassured her, stroking her hair. Emily pulled back slightly and looked into his eyes. Can I tell you a secret? Michael nodded. My Aunt Ruth. She's not really my aunt. She told me to call her that, but I know she isn't. Michael's heart raced. Then who is she? I don't know. She took me when I was little. Said my real parents didn't want me anymore. Michael fought to keep the storm of emotions inside him from showing. Emily, do you remember anything from before you lived with her? Anything at all? The girl closed her eyes, concentrating. Sometimes I dream of a woman. She has dark hair and sings a song to me. But Aunt Ruth says it's just my imagination. What song? Michael asked, his voice nearly breaking. Emily began humming softly. It was an old lullaby Jennifer used to sing to their daughter. Michael felt tears burning his eyes. Do you know this song? Emily asked, noticing his emotion. I do, he replied, his voice thick. Emily, I need to show you something. Michael went to his room and returned with a photo album. He had promised himself he wouldn't do this, but something inside him screamed that this time was different. He opened the album and showed her a picture of his daughter at 4 years old. Emily's eyes widened. This girl, she looks like me. That's my daughter. Her name was Emily too. She disappeared 7 years ago. The girl looked from the photo to Michael, then back at the photo. But how? That's when it happened. Emily tilted her head in that peculiar way, a gesture Michael had seen thousands of times. His daughter used to do exactly that when she was thinking. Wait, Emily suddenly said, I know this place. She pointed to the back of the photo, where the porch of the house appeared. I've been here, there was a swing there, wasn't there? Michael could barely breathe. The swing had been removed right after the disappearance. How could she know? Emily, look at me, he asked, gently holding her face. Do you have any birthmarks? The girl pulled up her sleeve, revealing a small, crescent-shaped mark on her right shoulder. Michael had to lean against the wall. His daughter had the exact same mark. I need to make a call, he said, leaving the room on shaky legs. This time he called Sheriff Williams directly. Sheriff, it's Michael Thompson. I need you to come to my farm urgently. I think I've found my daughter. Michael, not again. How many times have we been through this? This time is different. Please just come and bring Dr. Sarah, the psychologist. The sheriff sighed. The storm is really bad. As soon as it lets up, we'll head over. Michael returned to the room and found Emily flipping through the album, tears streaming down her face. This woman. I know her, she said, pointing to a photo of Jennifer. You know her? From my dream. She's the one who sings the song. Michael, do you think I'm really your daughter? Michael hugged her tightly. We'll find out, my love, we'll find out. The next few hours were the longest of Michael's life. Emily fell asleep again, exhausted by the emotions. He kept watch over her, studying every detail of her face, searching for the similarities his heart had already recognized. When dawn broke, the storm had passed, leaving only a light drizzle. Michael heard the sound of cars approaching. "Sheriff, Williams arrived with Dr. Sarah and 2 officers. "Michael, we need to talk," the sheriff said, stepping inside. "She's sleeping. Sheriff, I'm sure this time, the birthmark. She knows the house, the song Jennifer used to sing." "Easy. Let's check everything. Where did you say she lives?" "With the supposed Aunt Ruth in the Riverside neighborhood. House with the blue gate." The sheriff frowned. "Ruth, there's a Ruth Miller who lives around there. We've had a few complaints about her, but nothing concrete." Dr. Sarah stepped in. "Michael, I know you're hopeful, but I need to speak with the girl first. Can you wake her?" Michael went to the room and gently woke Emily. The girl was startled by the strangers clinging to him. "It's okay, they're friends. They're here to help," he reassured her. Dr. Sarah approached with a gentle smile. "Hi, Emily. I'm Sarah. Can we talk a little?" For the next hour, the psychologist spoke with Emily while Michael waited in the kitchen, every minute an eternity. The sheriff had sent a patrol car to check the address in the Riverside neighborhood. When Dr. Sarah finally came out of the room, her face was serious. "Michael, there are signs this child has been through difficult situations. She has fragmented memories, but some things she said, we need to investigate further." The sheriff's radio crackled. "Boss, we didn't find any house with a blue gate at the given address. The neighbors say a woman named Ruth lived there but moved out 2 days ago. No one knows where." Michael felt his blood run cold. 2 days. That's when Emily got trapped. "It seems she was abandoned," the sheriff concluded. "Michael will need DNA tests to confirm if—" "Daddy!" The scream came from the room. Michael ran and found Emily curled up in the corner, pointing at the window. "She's there! Aunt Ruth is out there!" Everyone rushed to the window, but no one was there. Emily trembled uncontrollably. "She came for me. She always said if I ran away, she'd find me." "No one is taking you, Emily." Michael held her protectively. "You're safe now." The sheriff organized a search of the surrounding area, but they found no one. Emily was clearly traumatized, and Dr. Sarah suggested she stay under Michael's care until things were sorted out. "We'll collect DNA samples right away," the sheriff said. "We'll have results in 48 hours. Until then, I'll keep a patrol car circling the area." After everyone left, Michael called Jennifer again. "You need to come here now." "Michael, I told you—" "Jennifer, please, just come. You need to see this with your own eyes." 3 hours later, Jennifer arrived. Michael barely recognized her. Years of suffering had left their mark. Her once impeccable hair now had streaks of gray. Her once vibrant eyes carried a permanent sadness. "Where is she?" Jennifer asked without even greeting him. "In the bedroom." "Jennifer, brace yourself. The resemblance is—" But Jennifer had already rushed toward the room. Michael followed and found her frozen in the doorway, hand over her mouth, body shaking. Emily sat on the bed, flipping through a children's book Michael had found. "My God," Jennifer whispered. Emily looked up. For a long moment, mother and daughter stared at each other. Then something shifted in the girl's face, a spark of recognition. "I know you," Emily said softly. "You're the woman from my dreams, the one who sings the song." Jennifer couldn't hold back. She fell to her knees, sobbing. Emily hesitated, then stepped closer. "Why are you crying?" "Sing. For me," Jennifer begged through tears. "Sing the song from your dream." Emily began to hum and Jennifer joined in. It was the same melody, the same lyrics, the same lullaby she had created just for her daughter. "Emily, my love, it's me. I'm your mother," Jennifer said, opening her arms. The girl hesitated, confused. "But Aunt Ruth said my mother didn't want me." "That's a lie, my love. We searched for you everywhere, every day, every night. We never gave up." Emily took one step forward, then another. When she finally threw herself into Jennifer's arms, they both wept. Michael watched from the doorway, his own tears flowing freely. The reunion was interrupted by Michael's phone. It was the sheriff. "We found Ruth Miller. She was trying to leave town. Michael, she confessed. 7 years ago, she worked as a nanny in New York City. She took your daughter." Michael had to lean against the wall. "Why? Why would she do that?" "She lost her own daughter in an accident," said Emily looked just like her. At first, she only meant to keep her a few days, but then she couldn't bring herself to give her back. She fled to the countryside, moved towns several times. And now? What happens now? She'll be charged with kidnapping. But Michael, your daughter is alive. She's home. Michael hung up and looked at Jennifer and Emily, still embracing. 7 years. 7 years of pain, of guilt, of a marriage destroyed by tragedy. And now, what did the sheriff say? Jennifer asked. Michael told her everything. Emily listened quietly, processing the truth about her life. When he finished, she asked, "So you're really my parents? For real?" "For real, my love," Jennifer confirmed, "and we'll never, ever be apart again." But Michael noticed the look in Jennifer's eyes. They had divorced 3 years ago, each coping with grief in their own way. He had isolated himself on the farm. She had moved to the city. What would happen now? The following days were a whirlwind. The DNA results confirmed what their hearts already knew. Emily was indeed their missing daughter. The news spread through town and reporters began showing up. Michael had to install gates at the farm's entrance to protect their privacy. Emily was in the process of readjusting. Sometimes she would wake up screaming, looking for Aunt Ruth. Other times she would stay silent for hours, processing the memories that were slowly coming back. Dr. Sarah came every day for therapy sessions. "She'll need time," the psychologist explained. 7 years is a long time. She was raised with lies, manipulated. Recovery won't be easy. Jennifer had settled into the guest room at the Johnson farm. Living with Michael was awkward, formal. They took turns caring for Emily, but barely spoke beyond what was necessary. One night, Michael found Jennifer crying on the porch. "What's wrong?" "She called me aunt today, said she missed Aunt Ruth," Jennifer sobbed. 7 years, Michael. We lost 7 years. Michael sat beside her. "But we have the rest of our lives to make up for it. Do we? You have your life here, I have mine in New York City. How are we supposed to make this work?" It was the question they'd both been avoiding. Emily's disappearance had destroyed more than a family. It had destroyed trust, love, hope. They blamed each other, blamed themselves. The divorce had been inevitable. "I don't know," Michael admitted. "I just know our daughter needs both of us." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. The following weeks were full of difficult adjustments. Emily began recovering more memories, but not all of them were happy. She remembered the day she was taken. Ruth had told her that her parents had died in an accident, that she would take care of her now. "I cried so much at first," Emily shared during a session with Dr. Sarah, with her parents present. "But Ruth, she was kind. She gave me presents, took me to the park. After a while, I started to believe you really had died." Jennifer squeezed Michael's hand. "It was painful to hear, but necessary. She enrolled me in school under a different name," Emily continued. "Anna Ruth Miller. She said it was dangerous to use my real name, that bad people might find me." "And you never suspected?" Michael asked. Gently. "Sometimes I dreamed about you, but when I told her, Ruth said they were just nightmares, that I should forget the past." Dr. Sarah intervened. "It's common in cases like this. The child is manipulated into believing a false reality. Emily was a victim of psychological abuse, even if Ruth showed affection." The legal case against Ruth Miller began. Michael and Jennifer had to testify, reliving the nightmare of the disappearance. Ruth, for her part, seemed remorseful, but also disturbed. "I just wanted a daughter," she kept saying. "Emily looked so much like my little Ruth." They discovered Ruth had lost her own daughter in a drowning the same year she took Emily. Grief had driven her to madness, and Emily had been her desperate attempt to fill the void. "That doesn't—" "Excuse it," Jennifer said after a hearing. "She destroyed our lives." "I know," Michael agreed, "but look what the pain of loss can do to a person. We ourselves—" He didn't need to finish. They both knew how grief had changed them, had driven them apart. One afternoon, Emily was in the garden when she saw a woman approaching. It was Mrs. Anderson, Michael's neighbor. "My God, it's really her," the woman exclaimed. "Little Emily." "You're back." Emily hid behind Michael. She still struggled with strangers. "Easy, Mrs. Anderson. She's still adjusting," Michael explained. Of course, it's just, I used to take care of her when she was a baby, you know, when you two needed to go out. Oh, how I prayed for this day." Little by little, Emily began meeting people from her past. Each encounter brought new memories, new fragments of her life before the kidnapping. It was like piecing together a puzzle, one piece at a time, but tensions remained. One day during dinner, Emily asked, "Why don't you live together? My friend's parents all live in the same house." Michael and Jennifer exchanged uncomfortable glances. How could they explain to a child that the pain of losing her had destroyed their marriage? "It's complicated, sweetheart," Jennifer began. "Is it my fault because I disappeared?" "No," they both answered together. "Never think that," Michael said firmly. "What happened wasn't your fault." "Then why?" Jennifer sighed. "When you disappeared, we were very sad. And sometimes when people are too sad, they can't stay together. But I'm back now. You're not sad anymore, are you?" The innocent question cut deep. Michael and Jennifer realized that despite the joy of their reunion, the sorrow of the lost years still lingered between them like an invisible wall. That night, after Emily fell asleep, they talked on the porch. "She's right," Jennifer said. "She's back, but we're still acting like she's lost." "A lot has changed, Jennifer. We're not the same people anymore. I know, you have your life here. I have my work in New York City." "What work?" "You throw yourself into it because it was the only thing that distracted you from the pain." Jennifer fell silent. It was true. She had buried herself in her work as a lawyer to avoid thinking, to avoid feeling. Michael had done the same with the farm. "Maybe it's time to rethink our priorities," she finally said. The following months were about rebuilding. Emily started attending the local school, making new friends. Therapy continued, but the nightmares became less frequent. She still had moments of confusion, occasionally calling Jennifer aunt, but she was making progress. Michael and Jennifer established a routine. She came every Friday and stayed until Monday. They shared responsibilities, attended school meetings together, and celebrated Emily's small victories. "Look, Dad, I got an A on my math test," Emily announced one day, running to show him the paper. "That's wonderful, sweetheart. Your mom will be so proud." "When is she coming?" "Tomorrow." "Good. I missed her." Michael noticed Emily never mentioned Ruth again. It was as if she had closed that chapter, focusing on the present and future with her real parents. But their peace was disrupted when they received a letter. It was from Ruth in prison. "Dear Emily," it began. "I know I shouldn't write, but I needed to say I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you. You saved me from my pain, but I know I caused pain to you and your parents. Please forgive me. With love, Aunt Ruth." Emily read the letter silently, then handed it to Michael. "What should I do?" "Whatever your heart tells you, sweetheart. I don't hate her. Is that wrong?" "No, my love. You have a kind heart. Ruth did something very wrong, but she was also suffering. Can I write to her just to say it's okay?" Michael exchanged glances with Jennifer, who had arrived early. "Let's think about it, okay?" That night, after Emily fell asleep, they discussed it. "I don't think it's a good idea," Jennifer said. "She needs to move forward, not stay tied to the past. But maybe it's important for her healing to forgive, to close that chapter. Or it could reopen wounds. Michael, that woman kidnapped her." "I know, but Emily spent 7 years with her. We can't just pretend it didn't happen." They decided to consult Dr. Sarah, who surprisingly supported the idea. Emily is showing emotional maturity. Allowing her to express her feelings, even if they're complicated, could be beneficial. With supervision, Emily wrote a simple letter. "Ruth, I forgive you. I hope you'll be okay. I'm happy with my parents now. Emily." The gesture seemed to free something in Emily. She became lighter, more present. She started making plans. For the future, she wanted to be a veterinarian, loving the animals on the farm. "Dad, can I have a dog?" she asked one day. "Of course you can. How about we go to the shelter to pick one out?" "Can Mom come too?" "Let's call her." And so, on a Saturday afternoon, The three of them went to the city shelter. Emily chose a caramel-colored mutt who looked as lost as she had once been. "I'll name her Hope," she decided. "Why?" Jennifer asked. "Because it's what you never lost, the hope of finding me." Michael had to turn away to hide his tears. Jennifer wasn't as strong, hugging her daughter as she cried. The dog brought even more life to the Johnson farm. Emily spent hours playing with Hope, teaching her tricks running through the fields. She was a normal, happy child, as she always should have been. One such afternoon, Michael watched Emily play when Jennifer approached. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For never giving up." "I did, Michael. After 3 years, I accepted she was gone, but you never stopped searching. You didn't give up. You were just protecting your heart." "No, I hid. I ran away, literally. I moved, buried myself in work, pretended I could start over. But you stayed here, keeping everything ready for when she came back." Michael looked around. It was true. The farm was a sanctuary of memories, a place frozen in time waiting for Emily's return. "We all deal with pain in our own way," he said. "I miss us," Jennifer suddenly confessed. "What we were before." "Me too, but we can't turn back time. We can't go back, but we can move forward. Together." Michael looked at her in surprise. "Jennifer, I know so much has changed, but one thing hasn't. I still love you. I never stopped loving you. The pain, the guilt, it all overshadowed the love, but it never died. What about your job, your life in New York City?" "What life? I was just existing, not living. Emily showed me that. She lost 7 years and I is here embracing every day. And me? I lost 7 years and kept running." Michael took her hand. "It won't be easy. We've changed." "I know, but our daughter deserves us to try, doesn't she?" At that moment, Emily came running with Hope. "Mom, Dad, look what I taught her to do." Seeing them holding hands, she stopped. A smile lit up her face. "Are you getting back together?" Michael and Jennifer exchanged glances. "We're going to try, sweetheart," Jennifer replied. Emily jumped into their arms. "Hope worked. I asked her to bring you back to each other." The three of them laughed, hugging, while the dog barked happily around them. It was a new beginning, built on the ruins of the past, but solid in the hope of the future. But their happiness was tested when Ruth's trial began. Emily would have to testify, and the thought terrified her. "What if I can't do it?" she asked the night before. "You can, my love," Michael encouraged her. "We'll be right there with you. But she'll be sad if I tell the truth." "Emily," Jennifer gently interjected, "Ruth needs to understand what she did was wrong. Not to hurt her, but so she can heal too." On the day of the trial, the courtroom was full. The case had moved the town. Emily, dressed in a simple blue dress, looked even smaller in the witness chair. "Emily, can you tell us what it was like living with Ruth Miller?" the prosecutor asked kindly. Emily looked at her parents, who smiled encouragingly. She took care of me, gave me food, clothes, took me to school." "Did she ever hurt you?" "No, not physically. But she lied. Said my parents had died. That I couldn't talk about my past. That it was dangerous." "How did that make you feel?" "Sad. I dreamed about my parents, but she said they were nightmares. Sometimes I cried wanting to go home, but she said I didn't have a home anymore." Ruth, in the defendant's seat, cried silently. Emily looked at her with compassion. "But she was sad too," Emily continued. "Sometimes I saw her crying while looking at a photo. Later, I found out it was her daughter who had died." "Does that justify what she did?" the prosecutor asked. "No, but it helps to understand. My parents were very sad when I disappeared. The difference is they didn't take another child to replace me." Emily's simple wisdom touched everyone in the room. Even the judge seemed moved. When she finished her testimony, Emily walked past Ruth. She paused for a moment and whispered, "I hope you find peace." Ruth collapsed into sobs. "Forgive me, my girl, forgive me." "I already have," Emily replied, before returning to her parents' arms. Ruth was sentenced to 8 years in prison, with the possibility of early release. The judge considered her mental state and the fact that, despite everything, she had taken good care of Emily physically. "It's over," Michael said as they left the courthouse. "Finally," Jennifer agreed. "Now we just get to be happy?" Emily asked. Now we just get to be happy, they confirmed together. Jennifer's readjustment to life on the Johnson farm had its challenges. Used to the fast pace of New York City, she had to relearn how to appreciate the silence and slower rhythm of rural life. "I don't know how you stand it," she said one morning, drinking coffee on the porch. "It's so quiet." "You get used to it," Michael smiled. "And it's not quiet. Listen, the birds, the wind, hope barking in the distance. It's a different kind of symphony." Emily came running out, still in her pajamas. "Mom, Patches had babies. 5 kittens." "Patches?" "The barn cat," Michael explained. "Apparently she's a girl." The 3 went to see the kittens. Emily was delighted, already making plans to care for all of them. "Can we keep them?" she asked hopefully. 5 cats?" Jennifer hesitated. "Please, I promise I'll take care of them." Michael and Jennifer exchanged glances. How could they deny her after everything? "Let's see how they grow," Michael negotiated. "But maybe we can find good homes for some of them." Life gradually found its rhythm. Jennifer set up a small home office, working remotely with a few clients. Michael expanded the farm business, now with renewed motivation. Emily flourished, reclaiming the childhood that had been stolen from her. But not everything was easy. Emily still had difficult moments. One day at school, a classmate asked about the years she was missing. Emily had a panic attack and had to be picked up. "I don't want to talk about it," she sobbed in the car. "I don't want to be the girl who was kidnapped." "You're not." Jennifer comforted her. "You're Emily, a daughter, a student, a friend. What happened is part of your story, but it doesn't define who you are." "But everyone knows. Everyone looks at me differently." It was true. In a small town, the story was well known. Michael and Jennifer spoke with the school administration, which organized a talk about respect and privacy. Slowly, the novelty faded. Emily made real friends, kids who saw her for who she was now, not what she had been through. One of those friends was Jason, the local vet's son. They shared a love for animals and spent afternoons exploring the farm. "Emily's amazing," Jason told Michael one day. "She knows everything about animals." "Does she?" Michael smiled. "Yeah, she says she's going to be the best vet in the world." I believe her. Seeing Emily making plans for the future was a balm to their hearts. Every dream, every goal was a victory against the stolen years. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. Emily's first birthday at home was an emotional celebration. Michael and Jennifer planned every detail. It would be the party she hadn't had for 7 years. "It doesn't have to be too much," Emily said when she saw the preparations. "Just being with you is gift enough." "Nothing's too much for our daughter," Jennifer insisted. "You deserve to be celebrated." Their party brought together the family that had formed around them. Mrs. Anderson, Sheriff Williams, Dr. Sarah, their school friends. It was more than a birthday. It was a celebration of rebirth. When Emily blew out the candles, Michael asked, "What did you wish for?" "I can't tell you or it won't come true," she smiled, "but I think it already has." Later, they found Emily in her room, looking through the photo album. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" Jennifer asked. "I was just thinking that if I hadn't disappeared, what would our lives be like?" Michael and Jennifer sat beside her. "We don't know," Michael said honestly, "but we know what it's like now. And it's perfect with you here. Even after everything that happened." "Because of everything that happened," Jennifer said, "we learned the value of what we have. Every day with you is a gift." "Do you think everything happens for a reason?" It was a deep question for a child, Michael thought before answering. "I think what matters isn't why things happen, but what we do with them. We chose to turn our pain into even greater love." Emily hugged them both. "I love you. So much." "We love you too. So much," they replied together. Life went on with its ups and downs. There was the day Emily won first place at the science fair with a project on animal behavior. The day Patches got sick and she stayed up all night caring for him. The day Jason asked her to the movies and she turned red as a tomato. "Mom, what do I do?" she asked in a panic. "What do you want to do?" Jennifer replied, holding back a laugh. "I want to go, but what if it's awkward?" "There's only one way to find out." Michael pretended to look stern. Movies with a boy? I think I need to get to know this Jason better. Dad, Emily protested, laughing. It was normalcy, sweet, precious normalcy. 2 years after the reunion, they received unexpected news. Ruth had passed away in prison. A sudden heart attack. Emily was silent when she heard. Then she asked, "Can we go to the funeral?" Michael and Jennifer were surprised. "Are you sure?" Jennifer asked. She had no one else. It's not right for her to be buried alone. At the small cemetery, only the three of them and the priest were present. Emily placed a flower on the simple coffin. "I forgive you, Ruth. I hope now you can find your little Ruth," she whispered. On the way back, Emily was thoughtful. "Do you think I did the right thing?" "You did the compassionate thing," Michael said, "and that's always right. She took me from you, but she also protected me from the world. In her own twisted way, she loved me." Love sometimes shows itself in distorted ways, Jennifer reflected. What matters is recognizing it and not repeating the mistakes. Emily's maturity continued to surprise them. The experience had stolen some of her innocence, but it had also forged a strong, empathetic young woman. The years passed like pages, turning in a book. Emily grew up, keeping her promise to become a veterinarian. Jason stayed close, their friendship blossoming into something more. "Dad, I need to tell you something," Emily said one day at 16. Michael, who was fixing a fence, stopped. "What is it?" "Jason asked me to be his girlfriend." Michael dropped his hammer. "Already? Dad, we've known each other for 5 years. To me, you're still that little girl I found at the abandoned farm." Emily hugged him. "I'll always be your little girl, but I'm growing up too." "I know," he sighed. "And what did you say?" "I told him I had to talk to you guys first. Good girl, your mom's going to freak out." Actually, Jennifer took it better than Michael. "Jason's a good boy. We know his family, we know his values." "But she's so young," Michael protested. "She's the same age I was when we started dating," Jennifer reminded him. "This is different." "Why?" Michael didn't have a good answer. The truth was, after almost losing her forever, the idea of Emily moving away even naturally terrified him. "Dad," Emily said that evening, finding him on the porch, "I'm not leaving. Not again." "How do you know what I'm thinking?" "Because I know you. I know you're afraid of losing me, but Dad, losing me would mean holding me back. You taught me how to fly." Michael hugged his daughter, now almost his height. "When did you get so wise?" "I learned from the best." The relationship was approved with rules. Jason had dinner with them once a week, and their outings had curfews. It was funny watching the nervous young man try to impress Michael. "Mr. Thompson, I promise to take good care of Emily," he said formally during one of those dinners. "Jason, you've known me since you were a kid. You can call me Uncle," Michael said, then added with a mischievous smile, "But you'd better take good care of her." Emily rolled her eyes. "Dad!" High school graduation was another emotional milestone. Emily was the class speaker, and her speech moved everyone. "We all have stories," she began. "Some happy, others not so much. But what defines our future isn't what happened to us, but what we choose to do with it. I choose hope. I choose love. I choose to believe we can always start over." Michael and Jennifer cried without shame. Their little girl had become a remarkable woman. Her acceptance into veterinary school was celebrated with a big party at the Johnson farm. Emily had chosen a university 2 hours away, far enough for independence, close enough to come home on weekends. "I promise to call every day," she said when saying goodbye. "It doesn't have to be every day," Jennifer said, though she meant the opposite. "But it can be every day if you want," Michael quickly added. Emily laughed, hugging them both. "I'll miss you." "We'll miss you too, sweetheart. We will." The house felt too quiet without Emily. Michael and Jennifer found themselves rediscovering how to be a couple without their daughter around. "It's strange," Jennifer remarked during their first dinner alone. "Very strange," Michael agreed. "But you know, it's also nice. We have time for us." And so began a new chapter. They traveled together for the first time in years. They rediscovered abandoned hobbies. Michael taught Jennifer to ride a horse. Jennifer convinced him to take dance lessons. "I'm too old for..." "This," he complained during the first lesson. "It's never too late to learn," she insisted. And it wasn't. Dancing together brought back a lost intimacy. It was like dating again, only better, with the wisdom of age. Emily called faithfully, telling them about classes, professors, and challenges. Jason had enrolled in agriculture at the same university, and they were still together. "Mom, I think Jason's the one," she confessed one day. "How do you know?" "Because when I think about the future, he's there. In every scenario, he's there." Jennifer smiled. "That's how I felt about your dad." "Still feel that way?" "More than ever. Surviving the worst together made us unbreakable." Emily's graduation was a grand event. Dr. Emily Thompson, veterinarian. The diploma represented more than an academic achievement. It was proof that the stolen years hadn't defined her destiny. "We're so proud," Michael said, adjusting her cap. "You gave me wings," Emily replied, "and taught me how to fly even when they were hurt." Jason proposed right after graduation, in the same place they'd met as children, the barn where the kittens were born. "Yes!" Emily shouted before he could even finish asking. The wedding was at the farm, of course, a simple but love-filled ceremony. Emily glowed in her dress, looking more like her mother than ever. "Don't cry, Dad," she said as he walked her down the aisle. "They're tears of joy," Michael answered. "The best kind of tears." In his speech, Michael shared the story of how he found Emily that rainy day. "I thought I was saving a lost little girl, but she was the one who saved us. She taught us about hope, about forgiveness, about the strength of true love." Jennifer added, "Emily, you're our miracle. Seeing you here today, happy, fulfilled, loved, is more than we dared to dream in those dark days. Thank you for never giving up on us even when you didn't remember who we were." There wasn't a dry eye at the celebration. Jason and Emily moved into a house on the neighboring property. Emily opened a veterinary clinic, fulfilling her dream of caring for animals. Jason managed the land, working in partnership with Michael. "It's perfect," Emily said one evening, watching the sunset from her porch. "Everything I ever dreamed of." "Really?" Jason asked. "Well, almost everything." 9 months later, Michael and Jennifer welcomed their first grandchild, a little girl with the same blue eyes as her mother. "What will you name her?" Jennifer asked, cradling the baby. Emily and Jason exchanged a glance. "Hope," they said together. "Hope Ruth." Michael was surprised. "Ruth?" "To remind us that even from the darkest moments, something good can grow," Emily explained. "And that forgiveness frees the one who forgives even more than the one who's forgiven." Watching Emily with her daughter, Michael flashed back to that day at the abandoned farm. Who would have thought the frightened girl behind the bars would become this strong woman, a loving mother, a successful professional? "What are you thinking about?" Jennifer asked, stepping closer. "How life comes full circle, and how grateful I am for every turn that brought us here." Little Hope grew up surrounded by love. She had 4 grandparents, Michael and Jennifer, plus Jason's parents. She was spoiled, of course, but she also learned important values. "Grandpa, tell me the story of how you found Mommy," she often asked. Michael would share a gentler version, focusing on the reunion and the love. When she was older, she'd understand the details. For now, it was enough to know love always finds a way. Emily had 2 more children, William and Anna. The farm was filled with children's laughter again. Michael expanded the house, adding rooms for each grandchild. "Building a hotel?" Jennifer teased. "I want them to always have a place here, to know they're always welcome." Life had its challenges, of course. There was the year of the drought that nearly broke the farm, the time William fell seriously ill, and everyone relived the fear of loss. The moment Anna, a rebellious teen, ran away, and Emily felt the terror her parents had once known. "Now I understand," Emily cried when Anna was found. She'd been at a friend's house. "Now I understand the hell you went through." "But she's safe," Michael comforted her. "That's all that matters." The years flowed like water. Michael and Jennifer grew old together, every wrinkle a story, every grey hair a memory. Emily became a respected expert in large animal veterinary care. Jason expanded the business, transforming the region. One quiet afternoon, Michael found Emily in the same barn where he'd discovered the kittens years before. She was lost in thought. "What is it, sweetheart?" "I was just thinking, if you could go back in time, would you change anything?" Michael thought for a long moment. "You know, at first I'd say yes. I'd change the day you disappeared. But then I look at everything we've built, at who we've become, and I think maybe things happened the way they were meant to, even with all the pain. The pain taught us to cherish joy. Loss taught us about love. And the reunion. The reunion taught us miracles happen." Emily hugged her father. "I love you, Dad. I love you too, my girl, always." That evening, the family gathered for dinner, 3 generations around the table. Michael looked at each face. Jennifer, still beautiful in his eyes. Emily, the daughter life had returned to him. Jason, the son-in-law who had become a son. The grandchildren, each one a blessing. "I'd like to make a toast," he said, raising his glass. "To family. It's not always perfect, but it's ours. To the winding roads that brought us here. And most of all, to the hope that never dies." "To hope," everyone cheered. Outside, the rain began to fall, gentle as it had on that distant day. But now it carried no sadness, only the promise of renewal, of life, of continuity. Michael took Jennifer's hand under the table. She squeezed it back. They had survived the worst. They had rebuilt from nothing, and they had won. "Grandpa," little Hope called, "will you take me to see the horses tomorrow?" "Of course, my love, tomorrow and whenever you want." And that was it. Tomorrow. There would always be a tomorrow, full of possibilities, love, and life. The farm that had once witnessed the miracle of a reunion would continue to witness everyday miracles. A grandson learning to walk, a daughter fulfilling dreams, a couple growing old together. Emily's story had begun with a devastating loss, but it wasn't about the loss, it was about what they had made of it. It was about choosing love over hate, forgiveness over bitterness, hope over despair. That night, when everyone had left, and the house fell quiet again, Michael and Jennifer sat on the porch as they had for decades. "Was it worth it?" Jennifer asked. "Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of despair," Michael answered, "because it brought us here. You know what Emily told me the other day? That we're proof true love isn't about having no problems. It's about facing them together. Our daughter is wise. Takes after her parents," Jennifer smiled. They sat there hand in hand, watching the stars. The same stars that had once witnessed their pain, now witnessing their peace. The next morning, Michael woke early as always. He checked on the animals, greeted the workers, drank his strong coffee. Routine. The blessed routine of a life rebuilt. Emily appeared with hope as promised. "Ready to see the horses with Grandpa?" The little girl jumped with joy. Michael lifted her onto his shoulders, just as he had done with Emily when she was small. "Grandpa's strong," Hope laughed. "Grandpa's old," he corrected, laughing too, "but still strong enough for a princess." As they walked to the stable, Emily by his side, Michael thought about how life came full circle. One day, maybe Hope would bring her own children here, and the story would continue. "Dad?" Emily called. "Thank you for everything." "I'm the one who should thank you, sweetheart. You gave me the chance to be a father again, to do it right this time. You always did it right. Even when I wasn't here, you were still my dad, keeping my place, waiting for me to come back." They reached the stable. Hope ran to the horses, fearless, just like her mother as a child. Michael and Emily watched. "You know," Emily said, "sometimes I think about writing our story, so other parents who've lost children don't lose hope." "It would be beautiful," Michael agreed. "But who would believe it? It sounds like something from a movie." "The best stories are the true ones. The ones that show miracles don't just fall from the sky, they're built with faith, love, and so much hope." Hope came running back, her face bright with joy. "Grandpa, Mom, the horse ate from my hand." Michael scooped her up. "So brave! Just like Mommy." "Just like Mommy," he confirmed, looking at Emily with endless pride. The sun shone over the Johnson farm, lighting every corner of the place that had seen so much pain and so much joy. The fences Michael had checked on that fateful day still stood, silent witnesses to a story of loss and reunion. But now there was more. There was Emily's clinic, its sign, Dr. Emily Thompson, veterinarian, gleaming in the sunlight. There was the playground Jason built for the children. There was Jennifer's garden bursting with color. There was life, abundant and generous. "Time for lunch?" Jennifer called from the house. "I made your favorite, Hope." The little girl ran inside. Emily walked more slowly, arm in arm with her father. "Happy?" Michael asked. "Whole," Emily replied. "Absolutely whole." And it was true. The girl once found behind bars had become a free woman, free to love, to dream, to build. The farmer who found her had become more than a father. He had become proof that true love never gives up. They stepped into the house, where the family waited. Another meal, another day, another precious moment in a life rebuilt with patience and love. Outside, Hope, the dog now old and limping, lay in the sun. He had fulfilled his mission to bring hope when they needed it most. Now he could rest, watching the family he helped bring together. And so, on that farm in rural America, life went on. Not perfect, but real. Not without scars, but healed. Not without painful memories, but full of new joys. Michael still sometimes woke in the middle of the night, his heart racing, needing to check if Emily was safe. In those moments, Jennifer soothed him. She's fine, she's home, she's happy. And that was all that mattered. One such night, Emily appeared at the door. "Dad, I heard you get up. Everything okay?" "Just a silly dream," he said. Emily sat on her parents' bed, just as she had as a child after a nightmare. "I have them too sometimes. I dream I'm still behind those bars." "And what do you do when you wake up?" "I remember that you found me, that you brought me home, that you never gave up on me." The three stayed there in the dark, bound by their shared experience. Pain had once torn them apart. Now, transformed into understanding, it held them together, forever. "I love you," Emily said simply. "We love you too," they replied together. It was enough. It was everything. The end of the story. And so we come to the end of this touching journey of love, loss, and reunion. The story of Michael, Jennifer, and Emily shows us that even in the darkest moments, hope can be our guiding light. If you've made it this far, let us know in the comments where you're watching from and what you thought of Emily's decision to forgive Ruth. Would you have done the same? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heartwarming stories. Your presence here means the world to us. Thank you so much.